They say love is about truly seeing someone. But what happened when you realize you never really looked? And when I opened that drawer, I realized I didn't know the man I'd been sleeping next to. My name is Nyla, and this is the story of how I thought I knew the man I loved. Until one afternoon, I found a dress hidden in our bedroom. A dress that unraveled everything I believed about us. It's strange how a piece of fabric can shatter your world, isn't it? How something so simple, satin, delicate, perfumed, can make you question every kiss, every laugh, every whispered "I love you." That day, I thought my entire love story was a lie. But I was wrong. This is the story of Caleb and me, and how I almost lost him because I was too afraid to see him. It started on a Sunday afternoon, one of those lazy, golden light kind of days where everything feels soft and slow. I was searching for my favorite dress, the burgundy one with the wrap waist. You know the kind. The dress that makes you feel like yourself. I checked my closet. Nothing. The laundry basket. Nothing. Then I remembered, maybe I left it in the spare dresser, the old wooden one we barely used anymore. I opened the bottom drawer. And that's when I saw it. My heart raced. The air suddenly felt heavier, like the whole room was watching me. A black satin dress. Neatly folded. Not mine. My heart stopped for a second, and my mind immediately went to the worst place. He's cheating. But then I kept looking. Underneath the dress, pantyhose, still in the package. Hip pads. A pair of heels I didn't recognize. And then, the smell. Faint, but unmistakable. My perfume. The one I wore on special occasions. The one Caleb always said made him feel close to me. My hands were shaking. I sat on the floor, staring at these items like they were evidence in a crime scene. And in a way, they were. Evidence of something I didn't understand. Something that made my chest tight and my thoughts spiral. Who is he? Who have I been sleeping next to? I felt betrayed. Confused. Angry. I grabbed my phone and called him. My voice cracked the second he answered. "What is this, Caleb? What the hell is this?" He tried to explain. I heard his voice, calm, pleading, breaking. But I couldn't listen. I couldn't breathe. "You lied to me," I said. "You lied to us." And then I hung up. That was the day we broke up. But to understand why that moment hurt so much, I need to take you back. Back to the beginning. Back to when everything felt perfect. I met Caleb 3 years ago at a friend's birthday party. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just there. Leaning against the kitchen counter, sipping a beer, listening more than he spoke. I liked that about him immediately. We started talking about nothing, music, bad movies, the weather. But it felt like everything. By the end of the night, I'd given him my number. By the end of the month, I'd fallen for him. Caleb was different. He was calm where I was anxious, patient where I was impulsive. He had this way of making everything feel manageable, like no problem was too big, no storm too heavy. I was a bank clerk back then, still am, and I was going through a rough financial patch. My car broke down. My student loans were crushing me. I was drowning, and I didn't want to burden anyone with it. But Caleb saw it anyway. He didn't offer money. He didn't try to fix it. He just stayed. He'd bring me dinner after long shifts. He'd sit with me while I cried over spreadsheets. He'd hold my hand and say, "We'll figure it out." And we did. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my safe space. My calm in the chaos. He's perfect, I'd tell my friends. And I believed it. But now, looking back, I wonder, did I mistake comfort for understanding? Did I love him for who he was, or for how he made me feel? Because the truth is, I never really asked him what he needed. I never asked who he was beneath the surface. It started innocently enough. A joke, really. We were getting ready for a night out. One of those rare evenings where we'd actually leave the apartment and go dancing. I was doing my makeup at the vanity, and Caleb was sitting on the bed, watching me. "You make it look so easy," he said. I laughed. "Trust me, it's not. Can I try?" Dane. I turned around, surprised. "Try what? Makeup?" "Dane." He shrugged, a little shy, a little playful. "Yeah, why not?" So I did. I sat him down, grabbed my foundation, and started dabbing it on his face. He closed his eyes, and I could feel him relax under my fingertips. It was intimate. More than I expected. I added blush, mascara, a little bit of lipstick, red, bold, beautiful. When I was done, I stepped back and looked at him. He looked stunning. Not in a haha, you look funny way, but in a way that made me pause, made me tilt my head and really see him. He'd look at himself in the mirror, and for a second, it wasn't my reflection he was admiring. It was his. Wow, I whispered. He opened his eyes and looked in the mirror. For a moment, he didn't say anything. He just stared, like he was meeting someone for the first time. Then he smiled. Not bad, Nyla. Not bad at all. After that, it became our thing. Every few weeks, we'd have these little sessions. I'd do his makeup. Sometimes he'd try on my clothes. Just for fun, we told ourselves. Just to laugh, I'd paint his lips cherry red, and he'd wink at me in the mirror. I'd zip him into one of my dresses, and he'd twirl, and we'd both collapse into laughter on the bed. It felt playful, harmless, like a game only we knew how to play. But the more we did it, the more I noticed something shifting. The laughter stayed, yes, but there was something else too. Something quieter. The way he'd linger in front of the mirror. The way he'd touch the fabric of the dress, smoothing it down carefully, almost reverently. The way his shoulders would drop, his breathing would slow, his whole body would settle, like he was finally exhaling. I noticed it, but I didn't ask about it. Because it was easier to keep it playful, easier to keep it light, easier to pretend it was just a game. Then came the night that changed everything, even though I didn't realize it at the time. It was October. Halloween was around the corner, and we were talking about costume ideas. I'd always loved Halloween, the drama, the fantasy, the permission to be someone else for a night. We should go all out this year, I said, scrolling through costume ideas on my phone. Caleb smiled. What did you have in mind? Jew. I looked at him, an idea forming. A wild, playful, slightly mischievous idea. What if we dressed you up as Catwoman? He blinked. Catwoman? Yeah. Think about it. The whole look, black latex, the mask, the boots. You'd look amazing. I expected him to laugh it off, to say it was too much. But instead, his eyes lit up. Okay, he said softly. Let's do it. I spent weeks putting the costume together. I ordered a black latex catsuit online. Tight, sleek, glossy. I found a pair of thigh high-heeled boots. Gloves. A mask. I even got a whip, just for fun. When the night came, I laid everything out on the bed like an artist preparing a masterpiece. Caleb stood in the doorway, nervous but excited. You ready? I asked. He nodded. I helped him into the suit, pulling it up over his legs, his hips, his torso. The latex clung to him like a second skin. I zipped it up slowly, my fingers brushing against his back. Then the boots, the gloves, the mask. When he stood up and looked in the mirror, I swear, the whole room shifted. He didn't look like Caleb anymore. He looked powerful, graceful, confident. He moved across the room, and I watched in awe. The way he carried himself, the poise, the balance, the complete ease in those heels. It wasn't performative. It wasn't a joke. It was natural. He looked at himself in the mirror for a long time, longer than usual, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Peace. There was no laughter this time, just quiet, the kind that feels sacred. Not happiness, not excitement, but peace. Like he'd finally found a version of himself that made sense. You look incredible, I whispered. He turned to me, and for a split second I thought he might cry. Thank you, he said, for letting me do this, I smiled. Of course. It's just fun, right? He nodded. But his eyes told a different story. That night, we didn't go out. We stayed in, dancing in the living room to old songs, laughing, spinning, holding each other. It was one of the best nights of my life, but I didn't realize what it meant to him. I didn't realize that for Caleb it wasn't a costume, it was the truth, whispering through the fabric, begging to be seen. So when I found that dress in the drawer months later, all I could think was, He's been lying to me. I couldn't see past the fear, the hurt, the betrayal I thought I'd uncovered. I called him that day. We didn't scream. We didn't slam doors. We just broke. Quietly. I don't know who you are, I said. I'm still me, Nyla, he replied, his voice breaking. I'm still the same person. No, you're not. We broke up that week. He moved out. The apartment felt hollow without him. For days, I walked around in a fog. I went to work. I came home. I ate. I slept. But I wasn't really there. I kept replaying the discovery in my mind, trying to make sense of it, trying to figure out where I went wrong, where he went wrong. But the more I thought about it, the more the anger started to fade. And underneath the anger was something else. Guilt. Because deep down, I knew I'd missed something. Something important. Something he'd been trying to show me all along. Weeks passed. The seasons changed. The world kept moving, but I felt stuck. I couldn't stop thinking about him. About us. About all those nights we spent together. Laughing, dressing up, being close. One night, I was lying in bed, scrolling through old photos on my phone. There was one from the Catwoman night. Caleb, in full costume, smiling at the camera. But it wasn't a playful smile. It was soft, genuine, real. I zoomed in on his eyes, and that's when I saw it. The peace I'd noticed that night. The calm. The way he looked. Whole. I started thinking about all the little things I dismissed. The way he always knew how to fix my makeup better than I could. The way he'd linger over my dresses, touching the fabric like it was sacred. The way he'd light up whenever I suggested we play dress up. It wasn't a game to him. It was freedom. And I'd been too blind, or too scared to see it. I used to think he was playing pretend, but maybe I was. I thought about the drawer again. The dress. The pantyhose. The perfume. And I realized he wasn't hiding from me. He was hiding in me. In the safety I provided. In the permission I gave him, unknowingly, to be himself. But I never asked him what he needed beyond that. I never asked if the game was enough. If I was enough. I thought I'd lost him when we broke up. But the truth is, I'd never fully seen him to begin with. I couldn't take it anymore. One Sunday afternoon, the same kind of golden quiet day as the one where I found the dress, I got in my car and drove to Caleb's apartment. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My heart was pounding in my chest. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just knew I had to see him. I pulled up to his building, parked, and sat there for a moment, trying to catch my breath. Then I got out and walked to his door. I knocked. Every second between the knock and the door opening felt like a confession. Footsteps. A pause. Then the door opened. Caleb stood there, looking at me with wide, surprised eyes. Nyla? I'm not here to fight, I said quickly. I need to talk to you. He stepped aside and I walked in. The apartment was quiet. Neat. A little too empty, like mine. We sat down on the couch, and for a long moment, neither of us said anything. Then I took a deep breath. I'm sorry, I said. I'm sorry for how I reacted. I'm sorry for not asking. I'm sorry for making it about me when it was never about me. He looked down at his hands. I should have told you, he said softly. I should have been honest. No, I said. You were honest. I just wasn't listening. I loved those nights we spent together, I continued. I loved the laughter, the closeness, the fun, but I never asked what it meant to you. I never asked if you needed more than just play. Tears slipped down my cheeks. I thought I knew you, Caleb, but I didn't. And I'm sorry. He looked up at me then, his eyes red, his voice trembling. I was scared, he admitted. Scared you'd leave if you knew the truth. Scared you'd think I was wrong or broken. You're not broken, I whispered. You're just you. That conversation changed everything. Caleb told me the truth that day, not all at once. Truth doesn't work like that. But slowly, gently, he explained what he'd been feeling for years. That dressing up wasn't about deception, it was about expression, about feeling whole in a way he never had before. That those nights with me, the makeup, the dresses, the laughter, weren't just fun for him. They were the only times he felt safe enough to be himself. And I listened. Really listened. Without judgment. Without fear. For the first time I saw him. Not the version I wanted him to be. Not the man who made me feel safe. But the person he actually was. And he was beautiful. We didn't get back together right away. We took it slow. We rebuilt from truth. Not from fantasy. We had dinners together. Long walks. Honest conversations. And slowly, the laughter came back. But this time, it was different. It was lighter. Freer. Because we didn't need costumes anymore to feel real. We were finally, truly seeing each other. Love doesn't end where truth begins. I used to think that love meant finding someone who fit perfectly into your life. Someone who made everything easy. But real love, the kind that lasts, is messier than that. It's about seeing someone fully, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it challenges you. I thought I loved Caleb for who I wanted him to be. But now, I love him for who he truly is. Sometimes, the dress left behind isn't a secret. It's a reminder of the love we weren't brave enough to see. I thought the truth destroyed me. But it only destroyed the illusion. If this story moved you, subscribe to the Gender Diary. We tell stories that remind us love is deeper than appearances. Tell me, have you ever misunderstood someone you loved? Maybe it's time to look again. The end.
The Gender Diary exists to light that path with shared stories. Whether you found connection in this narrative, you're on your own journey of gender exploration, or you're here seeking understanding, your subscription fuels our mission. Every subscriber empowers us to keep illuminating these authentic experiences for our community. Kindly drop a comment below. Your voice adds to the tapestry of experiences that makes this space meaningful. Until our next story unfolds.